its absolute best.
Yeah, they had us the first half, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, could be Wayne!
I think I got my swagger back. Oh.
I love it, baby!
Them orange britches. Something about them orange britches.
Tennessee wins! By Tennessee, Jawan Jennings. Jennings makes the catch.
Ball hit high in the air into right field. Going back is Sayre. And Tennessee can say hello, win column. A grand slam in the bottom of the ninth. You can't draw it up any better.
We just won a basketball game, and we're very happy right now.
McGrath for the win.
He got it.
If you don't like college football and you watch this one, I'm not sure what your problem is.
Reddit did to do, and welcome into More Important Issues. It is Thursday, May 11th. Fired up for this weekend. Before we get started, I hope this isn't oversharing. I mean, I think you might have already posted something on social media, maybe. Am I wrong? Maybe
it's fine.
Maybe you just put in a text message, but I do want to give her congratulations because she does feel like part of my family as well, but Landon's sister just had her first child. Congratulations. Standing ovation for Lindsay. Big day. Landon's repping the shirt. Mama. Sounds like everything went well, so we're happy for her and for the new baby. Newest Vol fan.
Newest Vol fan doesn't have a choice. Is in it for life. So good for her. Ren is her name.
Ren, love it.
Yeah,
love it. Future, I don't know, softball player, golfer, swimmer. I don't know what are we going for here?
She'll just be at the tailgates.
All me too.
Yeah,
that's super exciting. I know Landon's family's fired up. Good friend of the pod, obviously Landon's dad, Tracy. I know he's fired up, and I guess we got some new dad gifts. We got a new dad gift for him. We got to get that to him soon.
Yeah, I'm sure he's crying right now because I don't know what it. I guess it was like when, yeah, like just being a grandpa. He's already been like. There's been years where he's been like real soft. So, but this is like taking it to a new level. Like that man is like full on.
He's ready.
He's a grandpa. Ren's already spoiled. Like it's over.
Right. Love that. Excited for your whole family. That's super awesome.
I got ways to catch you on the
dude.
Nieces and nephews.
little small over there. We gotta get that farm league going. But yeah, we're super excited for this show. We're gonna talk a little football, obviously. Some basketball updates with the ever changing transfer portal. Maybe. Still maybe, I guess. Big series for baseball this weekend. We won't be there. Another congrats is in order. He's actually not on tonight. He is traveling to Knoxville for his wedding. Our man D Bloom finally getting hitched this weekend. So we will not be – Landon won't be at the game. I don't have the opportunity to go. We'll say I was going to go this weekend.
Let's just say there'll be ways that we'll keep up with it for sure.
Oh, for sure. That's zero doubt. But yeah, we got a big weekend ahead of us, obviously. So shout out to Dylan, shout out to Amanda. Do we think Dylan will even watch this? Can I just want to, like, I'm proud because I did the artwork for it, and I just think it looks awesome, that golf ball. So
it's sick.
So I don't really like, I don't know. I like to do, I think I'm good at gifts, but I'm not great at giving them in terms of like physically giving them. So I did get Dylan this for his. You're not gonna be able to see this. Okay. Maybe I'll tweet it out tomorrow. Yeah. It is on a golf ball. We're playing golf tomorrow, so I'm only gonna let him hit a few though because he can't lose them all. So
yeah, that's true. Got to keep one at least.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was a great gift. I also told you like he's never gonna take a better photo than that ever.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. The camera does not love that man.
Yeah, you can't lose that picture.
He better listen because we're trashing him on here right now, and that's what we're gonna do all weekend. So
yeah, it's gonna be like later on in the week. He's like, dude, what the hell? Like y'all are just bashing me on your show.
Yes, correct. He's gonna clip this up and he's gonna be frustrated. He might be listening because we know Amanda's dropping, so he might be listening now. If so, I really spoiled the gift.
Amanda's already here. So
oh wow, he's on his own. Okay.
He's taking Paige. Her.
She just at your house.
Well, her and my wife just went to the store.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm starving. I haven't eaten. I've been at the hospital for hours. So
Same, dog. All right, let's jump right into it. Before we do that, though, I am going to tell you guys about our good friends over at Underdog. Underdog is Knoxville's best sports collectibles store with a wide selection of UT cards, autographs, and memorabilia. Whether you're looking for a Peyton Manning autographed helmet or the most recent Topps baseball card release, you'll find it at Underdog. The shop is owned by UT graduates and proudly supports UT sports by hosting NIL events throughout the year. Stop by the University Commons Shopping Center next to Publix and Domino's to check them out. They're open 6 days a week with live YouTube shows 3 nights per week. Remember to always bet on the Underdog. Shout out to our good friends at Underdog. Underdog Collectibles, the best in the biz.
Yeah, I love them.
All right, let's do it. Let's talk a little pre. Is this the too early poll?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
ESPN one. Yeah. I just think like anytime that we can talk about football, I like talking about it. So
yeah, absolutely.
Let's bring it back up. So Tennessee in the ESPN way too early top 25 is ranked 12th in the country. And like on first glance, I'm like,
it's a little high.
It seems high.
Do we call it higher? Do we call it high or low?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking like we probably should be ranked farther back than 12. Is that too high? Is that right? Is that the way you say it? Just making sure.
Yes. I would say too high. Like you're looking at
the looking at number one.
Top,
okay.
Yeah.
Number one's at the top. All right. Yeah.
Okay. So it's a little high, but when you're looking at, I guess, everybody in front of Tennessee, it does make sense.
I mean, I think
you look at like what Tennessee lost and then the way they handled Clemson the way that they did, I think Clemson's actually ahead of us.
Clemson is. I just pulled up one, though, so I don't know when this one was out. Tennessee's at number 10 in this one.
Okay.
On ESPN. So, I mean, I guess everybody kind of agrees, like, in general where they're at, like, where they'll kind of land as far as, like, how the season shakes out. And, I mean, I think a lot of people have faith in Joe Milton, especially after that Clemson performance. I think mixed with, I think the assumption is, and at least this is my assumption, and based on that ranking, that the defense has to at least get better. Now, I'm not saying drastically improved or anything like that, but better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. But it's there in front of you. Now, it's kind of unproven of what the defense is going to look like. But number one, in the back end, I don't know if it can get any worse.
Right.
So you added a transfer. And gave Judy Lawley. I think you got better at defensive back.
Mm-hmm.
And
you certainly didn't get worse.
Yeah. And guys having another year under their belt. I think Danico Slaughter, we tweeted out he's been a safety like his entire career, and he moves a corner and looks like Tennessee's best corner last season. So having a total off season of him being at corner, I think is huge. You got Brandon Turnage. You just have a ton of depth, though. So I don't think that you're going to be in the same situation you were last year where you're like, who's it going to be? I think you have a ton of guys there, whether it be Kamal Haddon or Brandon Turnage. Warren Burrell is back once again.
Yeah.
Danico Slaughter, we mentioned Gabe Judy Lawley. I think there's a ton of options there. I know we have a question about who are the top 5 DBs that you think will start. I mean, I think Danico Slaughter is definitely one of those guys, and I think him.
Yeah, I think he has to be like you said. He was your most consistent guy there. I mean, in the secondary, I think most consistent.
Yeah, and I think your secondary is better, which I think your linebacker is going to be better. Defensive line, I just don't know, and I think there's a lot of talent, but it's young talent, unproven talent. But there is capable guys, but trying to match that production that Byron Young had is going to be difficult.
I think it's just finding the guy that has that motor like he did, in terms of he kind of turned the wheels on a lot of plays. Because I think when you look at Byron Young's stats, they don't add up to being they don't add up to this irreplaceable factor that we're kind of stating. But if you watched the plays he affected and what guys were able to do on the back end of him, on the opposite side of him, trying to replace a guy like that, it can be very difficult. And like you said, I think there's capable guys. It's just who goes out and does it. And I mentioned it, and a lot of people don't even think he'll necessarily be number one. I really think Joshua Josephs is Tennessee's next great edge rusher. I mean, the few times he was in, I after he was in, I was asking, why do we not see more of him? Not that he was the guy out there in that moment. He showed flashes, and I think he's just very versatile. He's so athletic. I think he's very versatile. He has the ability to not only bring speed off the edge, he can also hold the edge well in screen game and in short pass game. So I think he's your. I will be shocked if at the end of the year we aren't saying, yeah, Joshua Joseph was the guy that we needed after Byron Young left.
Yeah, 100%. Like he just was a guy that was always in the backfield. You always saw 19 in the backfield. And then you got James Pierce, who, when you watch him on special teams, you're like, good God, that dude's a freak. He's a borderline 5-star when, he signed with Tennessee. I think they're really high on him. Roman Harrison's a guy who just like, he doesn't pop out, and he's super small, but he does give you something on that opposite edge of Byron Young that I think you're going to need out of, if Joshua Joseph does take that next step, you're going to need somebody on the opposite side. Now, I think Roman Harrison has the most experience, but he's been kind of recruited over.
Right.
But the man produces. So, I think, again, you just got more depth at that position. Caleb Herring might be a factor at some point. And then Shadavian Bradley, I don't think he's on campus just yet or is going to be on campus soon.
Right.
So I don't know how much of a
don't start that. Yeah, I just got J.J. Peterson flashback. You doing that on campus, not on campus crap. Slow down.
Yeah.
Don't do that to
me. He'll be there. I have faith. He'll be there. But yeah, I just think that you have depth at that position or that edge rushing position. And then you have Tyler Barron, who, we thought would have a huge breakout season. Didn't have a bad season by any means. And
yeah. And I worry for him, just like I thought this was his season because of being opposite of Byron Young, because they were willing to play them opposite of each other this
well,
year.
He's definitely a defensive end. He's not a edge rusher.
Yeah, no, not in that. Yeah, not in the same sense of a lot of guys.
Yeah, not the pin your ears back on third down. He's not that type.
Yeah, I thought though I really did think he would benefit from being opposite though, not being shaded too often, like that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, just for whatever reason, he just wasn't able to. And I mean, not that he was bad this year by any means. I'm not saying that. Just not quite like you said, that leap we kind of expected out of him.
Yeah.
And maybe he takes it this year. Maybe put it on the guy kind of deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then, looking at kind of offensively, I mean, you have all your running backs back. I mean, we saw what they can do in a game against Vanderbilt, which
it was Vanderbilt. Pump the brakes.
It's still like you got to run a long ways. So, but you have all those guys back. I don't think you're ever going to have bad receivers in this offense. You saw a lot of production with Brew and Squirrel. You get Dante Thornton. Ramel Keaton had a huge season last year when Cedric Tillman got hurt. So I just think you're kind of set at that position or those two positions. I think the only one that worries me a little bit, or I guess two, quarterback, just because like who you have to replace in Hendon Hooker.
Yeah.
Now Joe has showed like he can do it, but he's also showed that he's very inconsistent. So I just need to see some consistency from him. So I believe, but having that production, I have a hard time seeing that match with Joe. Just because Hendon Hooker he put up video game numbers.
Yeah, and I think the inconsistencies are obviously, he's got to be able to hit on the long ball more often when he steps in. But that's not my biggest, and this is not a knock against Joe Milton. It goes into replacing Hendon Hooker. My biggest thing if Joe Milton or whoever it would be, obviously it's Joe Milton, we know now, but whoever it would be, I would say my biggest question mark is in replacing Hendon Hooker, can you take care of the football in similar fashion that Hendon Hooker did? I don't expect a quarterback to ever play at Tennessee that can take care of the football the way Hendon Hooker did. I mean, it was, like you said, video game numbers. I mean, it was actually better than video game numbers. It was like playing on freshman mode on NCAA, which I'm fired up to play tomorrow with you guys. It was like playing on freshman mode because he just didn't throw interceptions. He wasn't having to take chances because his guys were just like he found the open guy most of the time. So that's my biggest question for Joe Milton, or if Nico's in the game, whoever that quarterback is, protect the football. Because talk about the defense taking a step. If Josh Heupel runs his offense, how Josh Heupel runs his offense, and you're turning the ball over, that puts the defense even farther behind the 8 ball. And so I think it goes into not only is your offense good, is your team good? Got to protect the football. Got to protect it in similar fashion that Hendon Hooker did. It was unworldly what he did.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And him, like his escapability too. Like he just made plays that just weren't there. And
and I think Joe has that too, because he's able to move around in the pocket. His knock for me in terms of that movement, it's not how he can move around in the pocket. It's that I need Joe to go be Joe, be one of the largest guys on the field, and be willing to tuck the ball and run every once in a while. Because I love that we talked about it. I love that he wants to throw the ball. I would throw it every chance I got, but you got to be willing to take the 5 yards, take the 10 yards. And hey, sometimes it's there. I mean, Hendon Hooker created, seems like 15, 30 yards out of nothing often. And those opportunities will be there too. You got to be willing to do it though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just think you have a ton more depth, and
that's huge.
With Joe Milton, I mean, it's not the same as last year, where it's like Hendon Hooker gets hurt, you know who it's going to be. It's going to be Joe Milton. This year, I feel like it's going to be Nico, but like there's that sense of like, oh, he hasn't played. There's no experience, no college experience.
And I mean, is it? They played tomorrow, is it?
Maybe it's not. Maybe
I think so.
I mean, Gaston Moore looked like the greatest player of all time in that spring game. So,
yeah, I absolutely think it would be Nico if tomorrow you played and Joe went down. But I mean, Gaston is obviously, he's been here for a year now. He's been with Heupel for
run the offense
2 years now. I mean, he knows the offense, and that's obviously crucial in this offense. And so I mean, I think it's definitely. I would hate, let's not see that moment, but it would be interesting to see who the first guy on the field would be, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Now, I think eventually you would go with Nico if you had to go with your plan B, but that initial plan B, who's the guy warming up immediately?
Right. Yeah, I just think like where Tennessee's at in these preseason polls, like it seems high, but also like the people in front of you or the people behind you, like it does make sense. Like there's a case of why Tennessee has more depth. They know who their quarterback is. And then this offense, they're going to score points. So can they score at the rate that they did last year? Maybe not. But I do think your defense takes another step where you could actually be just as good as a football team than last year.
I think that's, like you said, it's logical where Tennessee's at, and I like that. And I think too, one position group. Well, I think it's the only one we didn't mention, besides the linebackers. For me, it's not that I'm looking at the offensive line and I'm like in panic mode or anything, but losing a leader like Darnell Wright is massive.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think kind of who replaces one of the most important positions too in that offensive line. It's going to be. I'm curious to see where they're at. I think the offensive line as a whole played pretty good all year. Don't get me wrong in saying that, but you did just lose a top 10 draft pick. So,
yeah, and that's hard to replace. And Tennessee hasn't recruited that position, I think, well enough. And it's not their fault necessarily. It's just they don't have a top 10 draft pick on that roster right now.
And no, which to be fair, Darnell Wright wasn't last year at this time.
Correct.
Either. So I'm just trying. You cannot put Negaval on me after that statement.
Okay. No, that was good. That was good. You're learning.
I cancels all of it out.
The positivity just flowing out of you. I love it. But yeah, like, I mean, that's going to be super hard to replace. And, they did get a transfer in John Campbell to take over that role, and maybe he can turn into something, or at least have some sort of the same production.
Right.
But I definitely think it's unfair to put those expectations on him, because Darnell Wright was the best offensive lineman in the country last year.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about Hendon Hooker having an unworldly season. I mean, not only Darnell Wright just being that good is obviously an incredible thing, but the jump he made in 1 year is unworldly.
Yeah, and I definitely think like him getting drafted that high in the first round. Oh, dude, that shit sells to recruits.
Yeah, no, I'd love, I'd love that happened. And the kind of knock about what is this offensive line going to be under Heupel is what offensive linemen want to play in this system. Like, not everyone runs hurry up now.
Yeah.
Is very funny to me to hear. And it's like you said, that sells. So you're able to go into rooms and go, we had a guy for 1 year and he went from undrafted to number 10.
Yeah. And like, look at the offense that he was in at Tennessee and look at the offense he went to in the NFL. I mean, that's a running. Now, part of it, the Bears are running a lot because they can't throw because they have no receivers. But
when Justin Fields is a runner, man. I mean, come on, like he's a
running back. Like
you said, he kind of has to. But his best plays have been running plays in his NFL career.
So I mean, like, there's no reason to like when you look at the two offenses, you're like, oh, that doesn't work.
Right.
It can work. And that's like the gimmicky offense. You're just like, that should tell you like that's a lazy take.
No, it's so gimmicky. I mean, we just hand the ball off more than we actually even throw it. That's how gimmicky it is. That's actually the gimmick. We're spreading the field. We are Mike leeching it up in here. Rip in peace, my friend. But we're actually just gonna hand it off.
Yeah.
That's the gimmick.
We've trained we've mined warped so many people and thinking Tennessee just throws it 80,000 times a game.
I love it. It's hilarious.
And they think we don't run it. We run it more.
To be fair to this season, I think because every pass resulted in a touchdown, it felt like, especially if it went to number 11, you were like, man, we threw so much during that game. Oh, we only attempted 26 passes?
Yeah.
It is like Alabama. I can't remember. I think he threw 28 times, 29 times. I don't think you can convince me that happened right now.
Yeah.
We scored 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, the gimmicky offenses. I mean, it's so balanced. It's not even funny. Like it's unreal how balanced it actually is when you look at the runs versus the passes.
Right. I'm gonna have to look up Hendon Hooker's attempts there. I mean, Jalen Hyatt caught the ball 6 times. 5 of them resulted in touchdowns. That's hilarious.
I just want to know the difference in between an air raid and a pro style offense. Because I mean, there's some quarterbacks in the NFL that are throwing Patrick Mahomes is throwing 40 times a game.
Hendon Hooker threw it 30 times. Bryce Young threw it 52.
Yeah. So who's more gimmicky?
Right. And I'm not sitting here saying this is a pro style offense. This is what they're going to run in the NFL, because it is vastly different, especially when you look at the key component, that being the splits out wide. I mean, it is a very different
the speed
offense.
is something too.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, but the funny thing is the speed is mostly about getting lined up. It's not about snap. Now they do want to, and they can snap the ball quickly, but it's not abnormal for Tennessee to get lined up quickly and then change the play, check the defense, and then go. It's mostly about keeping the personnel you want on the field. Speaking of the defense personnel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say there's not an element to it that sure is not quote unquote super normal in football. Like I said, the super wide splits, the rush to get to the line of scrimmage, but that's not anything that's new in football. Tennessee just does it more often.
Yeah. And then you had Clemson's offensive coordinator and be like, yeah, we're going so much faster with this offense this year. And I'm just and Clemson's a huge brand in college football. So for them to be like, man, what they're doing is unreal. Let's try to incorporate some of that in our offense, I think should tell you a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Alabama went to it when Kiffin came there. They went to the spread, hurry up type deal. And yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah, I don't know. It's dumb. I love the debate though. I love the debate. It gives us something to talk about.
But yeah, I definitely think the offensive line, going back to what we were originally talking about, the offensive line is definitely a question mark. Because last year at left tackle, you didn't get you got like okay play. It wasn't phenomenal. But I think you'd want to get a mainstay. I don't think you want to have, it's definitely different playing two quarterbacks, but I don't think you want to play two left tackles either.
And to be fair to them, I thought they were Jeremiah Crawford and Javonte Spraggins. I thought they were very consistent across the board. Like there was Gerald Mincey. Sorry, Jeremiah Crawford and what I say? Gerald Mincey though. Spraggins. Sorry, Gerald Mincey. I think they were very consistent. Like there was never like their highs weren't too high, their lows weren't too low. I thought we got good play out of both of them. And I think that's kind of what I just want from the offensive line this year. Like you said, Darnell Wright expectations are insane. Just be consistent, find that level and stay there. And that unit is very important to what we just talked about. Like there's going to be a lot of run game, especially this year when I think that running back field should be really strong, and you should trust everyone that you're handing the ball off to throughout the season because they played here last year.
Yeah.
Like there's no questions really about them. So yeah, very important unit. And
there's no secret that Tennessee, I mean, they're a transition basketball team is pretty much what they are. And you don't notice like how it affects the defense until about the third quarter. And you're like, every defensive lineman has their hands on their hips, one to tap out at any moment, but they can't sub. And so I think it makes it a little bit easier to see better play from the offensive line later on in the game because, the defense is so tired. But that makes it fun. I love seeing defensive linemen with their hands on their hips. That means just we're about to dominate. And I'm sure Darnell Wright was
it's soccer.
It's every single time it happened.
It's soccer. It's rugby. I mean, you got to stay on the field. You got to be able to play 90 minutes, man.
Condition better. If you don't like it, condition better.
Did you listen to this is fascinating. I don't know if this is true. I'm just reiterating what someone else said. Tangent time. Did you listen to the Part of My Take interview with I can't remember his name. He's from Men in Blazers. He produced Barstool Van Talk.
Yes, I did.
Did you hear what he said about why rugby? Because rugby was football at one point before they made soccer and rugby their own thing. Did you hear how the name football came about?
I don't remember this. I vaguely remember, but I don't remember exactly what he said.
So apparently in the times that people, I guess rode horses everywhere, like the higher ups, whatever you want to call them, not necessarily royals, I guess, but wealthier people, apparently, they'd go to polo and then they'd ride places. They would look at poor people, the peasants playing sports in the field, doing activities in the field, and they would kind of like make fun of them. They'd be like, instead of playing sports on horses, they'd be like, look at them playing football. Thought that was very fascinating because we argue about soccer versus American football versus association football.
Yeah, it's just poor people's sports.
Correct. We're all peasants. The argument is, I love that soccer people make the argument, what do you play soccer with your feet? What do you play football with your hands? Should be called handball or whatever. It's like, no, we're all just running with our feet because we're poor and we can't afford horses. That's the true.
I love that.
That's the true mark of football.
We're just working harder. We're blue collar. That's what.
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
what we are.
For sure. Except the Super Bowl. That is not blue collar. Ban the Super
Bowl. Anything else? Any other position you kind of want to talk a little bit more on?
No, I mean not really specifically.
Some questions about this. Do you want to go ahead and ask?
I was about to say I did see one. Let's go ahead and there's one question I can't remember which. I think it was about position groups. Let's go ahead and hit those.
Yeah. So we have who is going to be the toughest Tennessee football player to replace next season?
Probably the guy we named.
Yeah,
I
think it's got to be Darnell Wright. And a close second, I'd probably say Byron Young.
That's good, yeah. Going back to our point about Hendon Hooker, I think the production versus he did not turn the football over. That is a very tough thing to replace. I think any three of those are good options. I would say Darnell Wright just because I think, like you said, going back into what you said about the unreal expectations, that, and I'm not knocking the guys that are there, but I'm not confident that the talent could do that. Whereas Byron Young, I think the talent could. The talent at quarterback, I think could. That's why I think it's Darnell Wright.
Yeah, I just don't like, and this is anybody. This isn't just John Campbell. I think anybody else in the country has a hard time blocking B.J. Ojolari and Will Anderson the way that Darnell Wright did.
100%. I think Will Anderson said he was the best tackle he's ever played. So there you go.
Yep. Get on the Bears, man.
You heard it here
Get on the Bears for listening to opponents and just being like, this is what we're doing.
Yeah. Oh, the one of the best ends in the country, edge rushers in the country, said he was he had no problem blocking him.
Yeah.
Solid.
Oh, the number 3 pick.
If you wanted to draft Will Anderson, why don't you just draft Darnell Wright? And you're just like, all right, Kryptonite, got it.
Yeah.
That's what they should have done. The Texans?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, get you something to protect CJ Stroud.
Whoever. Yeah. I say whoever.
I will hate the Davis Mills not being
Mills Mafia.
Well, yeah. I'm just thinking like all the pictures of him during games and his neck is just so.
Well, I just associate really, really bad white quarterbacks specifically with the Houston Texans. So the fact that we don't get that anymore, I think, is a crime against humanity.
That's true. Yeah. Except for Deshaun Watson, which we all know what he did.
And I guess David Carr, too, wasn't terrible.
Yeah. He also had Andre Johnson.
He did have that's true. That's a good point.
Poor Cortland.
I think I put him in the bad category. I think if David Carr gets drafted somewhere else, he potentially career backup. That's too. I'm sorry. That was Ryan. I don't know. Ryan Fitzpatrick had a nice career.
Josh McCown.
Carr in that category. Josh McCown's not Matty level. Come on.
He's not. Who?
Fitzpatrick. Oh. He's not that. Fitzpatrick was due for one full season as a quarterback. Whatever, 3 years. McCown didn't get that pleasure. I think that's what David Carr could have been if he got drafted to another team.
Well, Josh McCown played for 20 different teams?
Something absurd, but he never had a full season under his belt.
Yeah, that's true.
He was that guy that played for Peyton Manning in their 16 or not 16 win because it was 16 game season. Then their 14 win season or whatever that played the last 2 games. Probably I would guess his only 2 starts of his NFL career.
You know where he's at now?
McCown. He is the quarterback coach at Charlotte. And he kind of told CJ Stroud they were drafting him. So known liar.
Oh, he was just trying to get somebody to offer an unreal amount.
He was wanting.
He was politicking, man. You can't believe that. You can't believe anything during the draft.
He was just trying to shake up. He knew he wanted to make it interesting. He wanted the war rooms to be sweating on that first pick. He wanted the Texans to be kind of banking on.
He made Brad Bohannon go put a bet in on CJ Stroud to be the number 1 pick.
Well, Brad didn't do it. He phoned it into a friend.
Yeah.
Brad has Brad bet on games? I think we need to ask that question.
That's a good question, but it's also dumb on his part. He should have.
He should have put the bets in himself?
Yeah.
Taking the full cut?
Yeah.
Is it legal in Alabama, though?
I don't know that.
That's probably the issue. He could have driven to Mississippi. He got Tunica up there.
Why didn't he just do go to Vegas?
So I was still confused on the people were saying that you can't put a lot of sports books in Vegas. You can't put in bets over $1,000 on college baseball. So how much money was he making betting against his own team? And is there a dollar amount that's worth it betting against your own team? Because I've always said it. If I walk in, if I play for the Flint, Michigan Tropics, and I go in and I place a bet on us to beat whoever that night, I should be allowed to place that bet. Money line bet, Flint Tropics to win. That's it.
I also I'm with you, but I'm also at this I respect the hustle of him just wanting to get a win somehow.
He hedged emotions.
Yeah, I'm going to coach my butt off to beat LSU. So I'm going to bet against. So I get a win either way. If we end up beating LSU, it was worth the $1,000 that I put on LSU.
It has. People are acting like it was bigger than that, so I just don't understand. But yeah, surely. I don't know. Maybe he was just hedging emotions. Maybe we're all looking too far into this. He just said, "Listen, I'm sick of losing," which they weren't.
Just wanted to win, man.
They weren't bad. Yeah, I get it.
A coach that wants to win. Yeah. That's a coach I want.
I'd like to get Brad on a podcast and see what his whale bets are this year. Is it always against Alabama?
Yeah, where did he? Yeah, Can he give us any insider info now?
He's reverse of me. I refuse to bet on Tennessee anything. He's only betting against Alabama. That's his rule of thumb.
Also, is it elite? Like the guy who put in the bet, is it voided? Like you have to pay that, right?
No, I think that because he was getting like insider info. No, I think he's in trouble too. Not with like the NCAA or anything. Like I think he's gonna be in trouble.
I guess like if I'm on the street and I see Brad Bohannon, he's like calling this guy and be like, "Hey, you need to bet on LSU," and I put that bet in, it should be voided.
I don't know if they'd have to.
I feel like they'd
have to prove that you did that.
I feel like that's the ultimate goal, right? That's what we're all trying to get insider information before we want to beat Vegas. It's Vegas versus the world. So why are we?
You're just describing how everyone on Wall Street gets into insider trading. You just described it. Like it starts out, you overhear a phone call, and then it builds from there.
Okay, maybe.
You just described the addiction of insider trading.
We have one more football question. Predict this. Will you guys predict the starting 5 DBs for Tennessee next season?
I mean, I guess.
It's
Danico Slaughter.
Yeah, Danico Slaughter's one corner. I'll go
Wesley Walker at safety.
Yeah, Wesley Walker. I think the first game, I think Jalen McCullough is going to be there until they prove that they can.
Probably, yeah. He may be all year. I mean, it may be one of those things where.
I like to see more Christian Charles, but I just don't. That's one thing for me that I just don't get. Christian Charles was not a great fit at corner, and it wasn't working. So I feel like you should have just moved him back.
Right.
I don't know. I just feel like he lost a year, pretty much.
Yeah. Hopefully not, but yeah, I feel that. I don't know who's opposite. I mean, I know there's bodies there, but I don't know who that guy is. Tamari McDonald at star, I guess.
Yeah, I'm guessing.
Okay.
I think this is my ideal one, and I don't think it happens. But this would, based off probably ceiling, this would be mine. It would be Danico Slaughter at star. It would be Gabe Judy Lawley and probably Kamal Haddon.
Okay.
And then I think Wesley Walker.
I kind of forgot about Gabe Judy Lawley. He should be opposite, I would think, of Danico, right?
Yeah, him or Kamal probably.
Yeah.
And Christian Charles. That would be mine. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be Tamari McDonald, Jalen McCullough, Wesley Walker, probably Kamal Haddon, and Danico Slaughter. Just based off feel and what this staff has done previously, they always go with the veterans.
Right. Makes sense.
Yep.
Okay. We get any more football questions?
It is kind of a football question. What do y'all think about the storming the field rules? Dumb question mark.
I mean, I don't think there'll be the proposed rules. I don't think they'll be voted in.
Yeah.
First off, but they're dumb. Yeah. I mean,
I just don't get
they're wanting to. You can't. I can't remember what the other one was. The one of the proposed ones was taking away a win from the team that stormed. That is the dumbest possible idea ever.
Yeah.
The fact that someone even not only like said that in a room out loud, but the other two guys were like, "Yeah, let's try that," is mind-boggling to me. I mean, mind-boggling. And then what constitutes a field storming? 3 guys, 10 guys, students. What is a field storming at that point? And then how many people can I get at every Alabama game every week to storm the field to cancel out their wins?
Yeah, I mean, Clemson's never going to win another game.
This is SEC, brother, because the SEC is the only one that cares. This is the only conference that has fines. Mm-hmm. And I get what they're saying. The fines have not been enough. But I also feel like this year was a little bit of an outlier in that sense. Like how many there were. Because and I'm looking at this from a Tennessee fan perspective. Tennessee hasn't stormed since 2006 Florida. big win, big moment. That's what field stormings are for. And then 2022 Alabama, like that is what field storming should be. The games that are rivalry games with a team that has flipped the script in terms of wasn't supposed to win 16 years, 15 years, whatever it was. But that's what it's about. And I saw some articles mention that the comment about Randy Boyd made on a video after the game, like we'll do this every year. We'll pay it every year. It doesn't matter. Guys, that wasn't obviously offhand. Like he was just saying it to be funny. They are not going to let Tennessee fans storm every time they beat Alabama. And hopefully for the next 10 years, we beat Alabama and we never storm again. Like that's my plan. But
it's like you said, like we hope we don't have to storm ever again. We hope we're never in that position where we don't have to storm. But I do think
Tennessee fans didn't storm Florida in 16, and I don't think we should have, and I'm glad we did.
Yeah. But yeah, that was an obvious one. Like, yes.
Yeah.
We took down and it is kind of like great for it's flattery for Alabama because they're like, we were a dynasty. They beat us. They stormed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the fact that South Carolina did it,
I think it's dumb. I'm also like, I kind of where their no one thought they would win that game. And then to win the way they did, I partially get it. I don't think I would do it as a South Carolina fan.
Well, and like that game was like from the get-go, it was kind of all South Carolina. So I just feel like the emotions of the Alabama game, like that helped of how we won.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Like that, the field goal, walk-off field goal definitely affected it. And maybe that kind of, like you said, affected South Carolina in a different way where like they got out to a lead and they kind of got to discuss it. They got time to go, hey, we're going, guys. Yeah. You see those hedges? They're done. Yeah. They're over. This is the last night they will exist. No, I mean, I think the South Carolina one was weird, but I kind of get it. Like,
I mean, it's
I wouldn't do it as a fan.
It's flattery for us too.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like it. I mean, they didn't know this at the time. They also kept us out of the college football playoff.
Yeah.
So, and there is like I'm not going to sit here and call South Carolina our rival because we're not, and I'm almost positive they would agree. But there has been just where we've kind of both hung out in the same spot in the SEC East for so many years. There has been a lot of, and then they had Spurrier for a while. A lot of animosity between the two fan bases.
Yeah, like
I think that plays into that.
Bottom feeders of the SEC, kind of in that same.
Well, not necessarily bottom feeders because we've had Vanderbilt and Kentucky to lift us up, just in the same spot.
Yeah,
though, for the most part.
Yeah, we're swimming just slightly above Kentucky and Vanderbilt.
Yeah, we've been bobbing, but we've been stranded out in the Atlantic for years together, and so I think that played into that field storming. I think the LSU Alabama one was kind of dumb. I just feel like LSU has won enough.
Yeah, you won that game.
And you could say
3 years ago.
And yeah, you could say the same for South Carolina too, in that sense for Tennessee. And that's why I'm not going to call LSU's completely dumb. Also, again, the emotions of that game, I think, played into that field storming. And the fans are just on the field at LSU. Easy access. I mean, good Lord.
I just think like the whole rules behind it, I think it takes away one of the best things about college football.
Do you remember what the other one was? There's another proposal. I just can't remember what it was.
I mean, obviously it's a fine.
The fine is the rule now. But there was another one. I can't. Anyways, the athletic directors will vote on it this summer. And I promise you, the one about the teams having to forfeit will not. If it does go through.
Yeah, because like Tennessee
if it does go through, I will only eat Uncrustables until they rescind the rule. Nothing else in my entire life. I will only eat Uncrustables. You can clip this. If that rule goes through, Uncrustables diet for the rest of my life until they rescind it.
Because I mean, there was nothing Josh Heupel could have got over the intercom and be like, "Guys, please do not storm the field," and it wasn't stopping anybody.
I would have double birded on my way. I would have double birded him. And listen, I'm all for keep the trash off the field. Let's be clear about that. So, yeah, that's why I think South Carolina fans shouldn't have stormed. But, yeah, the storming is a different animal. And I do think there are ways that can – I do think the SEC, if they really believe this is a safety issue, there needs to be things they can institute that are requirements of schools that make it safer. For instance, in football, there needs to be an exit behind the away bench that they do not have to go through the field of play. So you saw some Alabama players. I'm trying to think specifically. I think he wore number 10. I don't know who it was. He knew where the exit was at, and he got right off the field. He was aware. And so there needs to be that option, and then one that they can go behind the bench immediately and exit the field. But there also needs to be a sense of urgency from those people too. I'm not saying they should be attacked by fans. They absolutely should not. And the fans that do attack players physically, I think there was an issue Texas Tech this year. I can't remember who they beat, where someone did hit a player. Like, you're ruining it for everyone just to be a douchebag. Like, you won't get anything from it. And if that person wanted to, they could probably beat the ever-living shit out of you. So I don't understand what you're doing. Like, storming the field is to go down there and celebrate with your team, not be a dick to the other teams. Because at the end of the day, no matter how I feel about number 10 on the opposing team, again, no one specifically, that's just a random number out of thin air. Like, I'm not going to physically attack him for a number of reasons. One, I would get my ass kicked. Number two, like, it's a sport. It's a game. The fun of it is storming the field. Just why is that not enough for some people? I don't understand. Now, Jermaine Burton, he was not attacked. He might have gotten videotaped. He was videotaped all night. The dude was on CBS for like 4 hours just now. All of a sudden, he's got a problem with a phone. And then, so that is unacceptable. Absolutely. And that's another thing that pisses me off. The SEC decides, oh, Alabama's in the bad news era, change the whole thing. If a Tennessee player had done that, in fact, they didn't say, I haven't heard a word about Vanderbilt basketball storming, and it was Santi's fault. Like, Santi was in the wrong. The kid was being a douchebag, but he didn't physically attack anyone. And not a peep out of that. Nothing about fan safety, player safety, nothing.
Yeah, it's that Alabama bias, man. It's real.
The SEC just needs to change their color from blue and gold to crimson. I mean, just quit hiding it.
Yeah, I just think it's one of the best things about college football, so I just don't understand why.
100%.
I mean, even like as a Tennessee, like I hope we never have to storm again.
100%.
But I do think some of it is like Vanderbilt beat Alabama. Vanderbilt can storm. Now it's going to look like shit, but I feel like they deserve to be able to storm.
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
And it's unique to really just like two sports in college. Like, no one's going to storm a baseball.
Also, we gave you so many like graphics and videos and pictures where you can post all these outlets like ESPN, CBS.
Oh, they ate it up at the time.
Whatever. They still post, like they tweet a post like, what is your favorite? I mean, somebody did it today. What is your favorite college football moment? And they used.
I saw that. That edit made me look good too. Thank you. I look tan in that edit.
Dude. It was kind of that edit. Do you remember Jalen Hyatt and I think maybe Brew and Cedric were in the black uniforms they put on a shirt? Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that color.
Love it.
Try, man.
Yeah, that's
you get a spray tan for tomorrow? You ready?
I tried to use that bro stuff, and I don't look any darker. My arms are still pale as hell, so I don't know if I need to go like 6 more layers or how that needs to work. I don't want a sunburn, and I just don't want it to look like I'm sunburned. And I know what you're saying, Caleb. Put on more sunscreen. It doesn't work. Like I get burnt.
Just have a. Are you talking about for tomorrow?
Yeah, I wear SPF 50, guys. So I just don't want to look sunburned. It's not that I'm gonna get sunburned. I just don't want to look.
The good thing we're in a suit, so just our face doesn't have to.
Correct. And you're gonna watch me load up. Like, I have one of those like deodorant sticks for your face. I mean, you're gonna watch me load up on sunscreen, and I'm still gonna end up burnt.
I'll bring an umbrella for you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you have an umbrella. I have your golf clubs, but thank you for bringing an umbrella. I've also gotta clean them for you tonight.
Dude, you don't have to worry about cleaning them.
Nah, you don't want to play with dirty golf clubs. It's not fun.
As long as it's not like,
it's not fun.
Like there's just like snot on it or anything.
Oh yeah, I don't know how you get that on a golf club, but yeah, that's what it is.
All right, bad news. Julian Phillips.
Bad news. This is a weird one, man.
Yeah,
I think he still goes to the draft, but personally. Yeah. Well, he's the only Tennessee player that got invited to the combine, which I thought was a little interesting myself.
Yeah, I have a weird vibe about it. Just like the whole I went to Tennessee for a year, then I go to like you're considered a Tennessee guy, but when you enter the transfer portal, I feel like you lose that. And maybe that's just me being a selfish prick or whatever you want to say, but it's a little strange to me to have like the same sort of feeling that I do for Kennedy Chandler.
So my problem with the transfer portal in that sense, so I don't know if you saw Steve Sarkisian mention how when guys enter the transfer portal at Texas, they don't have the option to come back. Mm-hmm. He talks about that, and I don't have a problem with that if that's your program's policy, and you're upfront with recruits before they come in. Like once you're here, you're here. If you decide to leave. And I don't have a problem with that. But technically in the college football world, your only opportunity to talk to other teams is if you enter the transfer portal. And I don't have a problem with saying I'm not entirely comfortable here, especially as a freshman. Juniors, sophomores might feel a little bit differently, but especially as a freshman where you're like, I want to talk and see what else is out there and, maybe see if like I feel like there's a better fit for me. And then unfortunately, the only way to do that is to publicly put your name in the transfer portal. And so like that's my only. I don't disagree with what you're saying. Like I prefer you just like your decision and kind of stick with it or don't, one or the other. And it sounds like he's gone no matter what, whether that means transferring or.
Yeah, and Tennessee doesn't have the. I don't think they can get him back anyway with unless somebody else left, I guess, but.
And that might have played into it. Originally, he was just, I'm going to the draft. And then he started thinking again, like, I might still play college basketball. And at that point, Tennessee had already been told he was going to the draft and recruited for, that position. So, I mean, that could be part of it.
You can't just hold a spot and hold it and hold it and hold it. When you need, if he's gone, you're going to be in a hole if you don't replace it.
Right. Yeah, I don't think that's bad on Tennessee to do that if they thought he was going to the draft the whole time.
No. So, I mean, yeah, maybe it is just a backup plan and he goes to the draft and all as well.
I think there's a lot with it. And I do not have a problem with saying once you're in the portal, you're gone. You made that decision. It's just you can't technically talk to other teams, other coaches, unless you're in the portal. And so I think I personally think you should be allowed to, like, as a coach, if I'm making that decision of, do I want my guys in the portal? If they're like, hey, I don't know if I'm comfortable here. Like in my mind, I feel so strongly about what we're doing here that you're going to go out and get recruited and you're going to see that what we're doing it the right way. We're doing it the best way possible. And you'll come back if you feel strong. That would be my personal feelings on it. But yeah, it makes me feel like you're doing it the right way too. You're not going through all these avenues, texting coaches and coaches texting you going, hey, we got a spot for you if you're in the portal. Like it does make me feel like you're going about it the right way too. If you say, hey, I want to go see what my options are.
Yeah. It definitely seems like the way he's headed is just a backup plan. I think the draft is always first, but you also I think a lot of guys are curious, like, hey, if I enter the transfer portal, what NIL money is out there? And I
think that's part of it too.
Yeah, I think Tyler Barron did that.
Right.
And then he ended up coming back to Tennessee. I mean, I just think the whole transfer portal thing, I don't think there's as much money out there just floating around as people think. Or even players think.
Yeah, if you're getting paid at a school, you're going to get paid at another school. If you're not getting paid, you're more than likely not going to get paid unless it's a step up or step down. If you're going from Tennessee to Florida State,
I know Hunter,
essentially the same amount.
Hunter Dickinson had, he entered the transfer portal from Michigan, went to Kansas. I can't fathom Michigan's NIL is worse than Kansas.
Yeah, as an athletic department,
correct.
I've got to think Michigan's is better. As a basketball program, maybe, but I don't know. Like I'm kind of with you. I doubt is it that much better?
And maybe somebody just wrote a fat check and here you go. Like what?
Surely didn't spend it on Hunter Dickinson. Cal obviously said I'm not spending the money. So.
Cal can't close. But yeah, Julian Phillips, it does suck because it is another 5-star that just didn't live up to the hype. Fair or not. 8.3 points per game, 4.7 rebounds per game. He shot 23.9% from three, 41% from the field. I mean, he scored 5 points in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, he just wasn't – he shot away. He had moments where you saw the potential. But then I don't know if it was – I mean, it could be a number of things. It could be he just wasn't comfortable. He had trouble within the SEC because it is a lot more physical than high school ball. But, one of the more physical leagues in America. Right. And a lot of people want to throw blame at Rick Barnes that they just he just doesn't let freshmen just go out there and play. And I don't know. It kind of makes me want to just stop recruiting 5-stars somewhat just because they just haven't worked out. And somebody was like, well, Josiah James worked out. Josiah James was here for 4 years.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have been.
He's not a one and done guy.
I think
I don't know. I don't know. We talked about it. Josiah was never a one and done 5-star.
No, he wasn't.
So maybe 3. He wasn't going to be here for 1 year. So he's different than Kennedy.
Yes.
And even the 2 that came before him, and Jaden Springer.
Yeah. But even I know some people were just Keon and Jaden were really good, and they were okay, but that team was terrible anyway. Somebody had to score some points.
They got on the short end of the stick though, where if they had joined this team, this prior team,
it's a lot different.
That I think flips how they can play and how they can. I think they got the short end of the stick in terms of that.
Well, yeah, and just that COVID year in general, it was just there's an asterisk.
And I also think Keon Johnson, he's one of those guys similar to Kennedy. I'm I don't know how much he can really improve his draft stock staying here. Jaden Springer, I'm thinking, which ended up kind of reversed in terms of how they've been in the NBA. But I thought Jaden was a guy who really could have benefited from staying.
Well, Jaden seemed like the better player, but Keon looked like the better pro. Jaden was the better college player.
I think I thought Jaden could have benefited more.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
And he's a guy that could have been polished up more. Whereas I feel like Keon was just, like you said, he seemed more ready. I think the things he could have improved probably don't drive up his draft stock a ton.
Yeah. I mean, most of it was just shooting.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Defense was there. Sure. The slashing ability, the athleticism was there. But, yeah, just shooting was the big thing for him. And, oh, well, I mean, it sucks, but it really sucks because you see guys like Paolo Banchero and Brandon Miller and Jabari Smith go to these other programs that are 5-stars and just show out. And then, we land some, and I know it's different. Every program's different. Every 5-star is different.
Every 5-stars, yeah. I mean, and I think, looking at Brandon Miller too, that dude was going to be an animal wherever he went. I don't think that's a benefit of Alabama.
Right. No, I agree. I just, Tennessee just can't, it seemed, land something like that.
They just haven't gotten the one and dones that are obvious one and dones, which is, I mean, I don't, it is what it is. Kennedy's being the closest so far besides going all the way back to Tobias Harris, besides him. And Kennedy was only knock was his size.
Well, and Julian Phillips wasn't coming here anyway until Will Wade got fired. So,
right. Shout out.
So maybe Julian just is interested in the money. I shouldn't say that. That's wrong. But
I mean, everybody is, right? We'll all sell our souls at some point. All right, let's talk a little bit, hopefully better news. We're at least fired up right now. Big series for baseball. We got to figure out nachos. I don't know how I haven't thought about it. Have you thought about getting nachos yet? We've got to figure that out. I don't know if we need to go buy the Lunchable packs that you can eat during the games. You just gonna go Taco Bell during the wedding or during the rehearsal dinner? What are we doing? You got to eat them during the game, dog.
I mean,
I'll go get you Lunchables.
All right, let's go do it.
I'll have Lunchables for you. I'll have Lunchables.
Yeah, we'll do it. I am kind of I want to win this series. Revenge. They beat us last year. That terrible weather in Lexington got us.
And I don't want to have to listen to Austin.
Exactly. Also, shout out him.
Dad again.
Dad of 2. Father of 2. Good for him.
It does, we got to work on. We can't have another Kentucky fan in the world. That's my knock. We've got to figure that out.
He's my one that I like.
Well, yeah, but I like him, but I mean, I can't support him.
Can't stand him.
Yeah. Yeah. He it's one of those guys like, you just got to love on him. We all make mistakes kind of deal,
Yeah. Is that what his wife said?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, Kentucky, a lot better team they were last year. Hopefully you get some revenge. They're ranked number 17 right now. I mean, they're another SEC team that's just hard to figure out. They lose a series to Texas A&M. They get swept by Vanderbilt, and then they sweep South Carolina last week, and then they beat Tennessee Tech, which is just a little bit of flavor for Tennessee there. But still a big series. I mean, they're always a team that is just a little bit different than everybody else in the SEC. They like to play a little bit of small ball, which a lot of teams just don't have any interest in it. They do a lot of hit and runs. They steal. They bunt. They do a lot of that stuff, and it's effective. And I feel like it can be effective against Tennessee if they do get runners on base. So I think starting pitching is key this weekend. It just hasn't been like super consistent all season. Right. But they need to figure that out. Andrew Lindsay gets a start. I think Travis Martin, is their starter. He's 4-1 on the season. I mean, they kind of replaced everybody too. Got some transfers in there. And it's worked so far this season for them. I mean, their record is pretty incredible. Now, they didn't really play a lot of teams in the beginning of the season, but they're a team that can beat you. And so if you let them get going, you give them some momentum. They're 34-13. On the year, and then 14-10 in the SEC so far on a 4-game win streak. They're also 10-9 on the road. So
compared to our road record, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Don't love that.
Well, good news is we are at home.
Right. I think the biggest thing is I haven't looked at the weather. I think it's supposed to be pretty good this weekend. So hopefully the hitting can be good with the friendly weather if it is good. I think, like you said, I think it kind of boils down to starting pitching, because sometimes it is enough to overcome some of the mistakes that were made early in the season and last weekend. But when it's not, it's impossible to overcome.
Yeah.
Impossible. And it's probably gonna be pretty difficult, like you said, against this team. If they like to put you in positions to make mistakes, then you certainly can't make them.
Yeah, I think that's key. Definitely just have your starting pitching. Drew Beam definitely wants to get back out on the mound and rewrite that ship that happened last weekend. Chase Dolander probably wants the offense to help him out a little bit, and then Andrew Lindsay kind of wants the offense to do the same thing.
Right.
So I definitely think that starting pitching is definitely your key this weekend, but also the offense can't just not show up for a game, because
absolutely
on Saturday that was pretty ridiculous how that transpired. So it's got to be better with 2 outs. You did get that win this past week against Austin Peay. And Charlie Taylor, man. That son of a gun.
What about him?
Grand slam off the batter's eye.
What about him? He's that dude.
He is.
Big Chuck guy.
Chuck. They call him Chuck Tater. Weird.
Oh, it's a layup, guys. It's Chuck Taylor. Like, it's a layup. Yeah. You don't have to change the last name.
Also, just Chuck, man. He doesn't have a last name. It's just Chuck.
Chuck is good. Chuck is solid. Anything else for baseball before we go into the weekend? Excuse me.
That's all I got, man. I think this is a series that can, if you really want to host a regional, you got to win this series. And dare I say, dominate the series. I mean, last year
that would be nuts.
Last year that was rough, and there's enough guys on this current roster that should fill that from last year. Jared Dickey, Christian Moore, Blake Burke, Beam, Burns, Dolander, Sewell. There's guys that definitely felt that last season in Lexington. So let's kick their ass.
Stupidity. I love that. I wanted to go away from that. That was
just
a great,
end on that.
Great ending. But saying stupidity after probably didn't bring it back. Yeah. So apologies.
No, that's fine.
But it was a great line. Just trying to move on.
We can clip that. Somebody clip that.
Yeah, leave out the stupidity one. Yeah. That was a bad transition for me. I apologize.
No, I like it.
All right. I've got two. My first one is it's going on I guess it was the U.S. Open qualifier in Illinois somewhere. Okay. The University of Illinois, I guess the University of Illinois. One of their players shot a course record, and the greens were aerated. For those that don't golf, that means they literally aerated the greens. So there's holes in them from the plugs pulled, and often bumpy, sandy. Like green conditions aren't great. I cannot believe they played a U.S. Open qualifier there. Shot a course record. Then after the round, he was talking to I think one of his teammates that had played, and he talked about. His teammate made a comment about just not being able to putt well, something that led him to realize that he had broken a rule the entire round. He was repairing aerated marks to putt, which is dumb in my opinion. But he was repairing them and therefore was doing something illegal. So he had to DQ himself. He told on himself. No one called him out on it during the round. He said he did it, I guess, on all 18 holes. I can't remember what he said, but was doing it constantly throughout the round. No one called him out on it, and then he went and DQ'd himself, which I credit to him. Like, it's that commercial, ball goes out of bounds. He's like, Coach, it was off me. Like, he did it. He's a stand-up dude. He said he wouldn't be able to sleep that night knowing that he did that, and like his teammates, played the right way or whatever. But it's also dumb because apparently I was reading that a lot of places, because U.S. Open qualifiers, they happen often during the time of year where you have to aerate. And they usually put in a local rule that allows you, because now you can repair like divot marks that are in front of your line and things like that. And there is a rule that you can do that if they institute the local rule. They didn't do it. So that's my stupidity is on that course. You're playing a U.S. Open qualifier and you're making guys putt on aerated greens. It's insane. Credit to that dude, stand-up guy. I think you're a little bit of an idiot. Just no one said anything. Just
you did it all 18, and then you're like, "Yep, that was wrong." Yeah. And like, did he just like? Well, did his conscience just eat him alive all 18? And finally, he was just like, "No, I can't do it."
Well, he didn't know. He didn't know. He thought he could.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
He thought he didn't know until after the round, and he was talking to a teammate who made a comment that made him realize that he was not allowed to do that.
I mean, when you said that, I thought like that's like stealing something.
No. Yeah, and then your parents make you return it and apologize. No. That would have been bad. I wouldn't be crediting this guy if that was what happened.
We did have one more question for baseball. Sorry, I forgot to get that. So Ethan Cundiff, it was late, but
shout out.
Yeah, friend of the pod. He said, late question for the end of the show or baseball segment. Even though this group is a different team, but do they use the results of last year against Kentucky as more fuel for this weekend? I think you got to. And we kind of mentioned.
Well, I sure hope so.
We kind of mentioned that a little bit, but yeah, you got to.
Listen, I'm not a big into motivation guy where, you try to get the team fired up with like a video or a comment before the game. Cause like that kind of stuff, like pregame speeches to get people pumped, like they really only last so long. Like you're either prepared or you're not. Now, if you couple preparation with that, perfect. But watching Florida beat us with that freaking picture of the helmets in the dugout just really grinded my gears. And we said it. We need to have a motivation off. Find whatever gets us going early, and then just hope we're prepared enough to let it carry us through. I need something. I don't know what it is. Hopefully it's last year. Like these guys, I mean, almost ruined. They didn't ruin it, but like it could have been more special had you went and swept that series.
Well, and like that series. I mean, you're thinking about it. Are they the team that made you mortal?
Yeah. So it brought you back down to earth. So send them back to wherever they came from.
Yeah.
Like Greenbow, Alabama.
Yeah, I definitely think you got to use that as fuel. And again, like there's plenty of guys on this roster that were in Lexington last year. And I know one guy wearing number 22. I'm sure he's fired up for this series, and that's all you need, in my opinion.
I like that. All right.
My stupidity is Vanderbilt baseball.
Perfect.
Battle of the beer barrel, or battle of the barrel. But it's literally the same thing with Louisville baseball that Tennessee and Kentucky do.
The irony that it's a Tennessee and a Kentucky school too is not lost on me.
Dude, it's unreal.
Like, it's not lost on me. And I saw a lot of people acting like the NCAA or SEC disallowed it. That's not what happened, guys. Like, it's Tennessee and Kentucky's decision. Yeah. They were like, why can they do that? Like, because we can too. We just choose not to. Mm. Which, again, different argument, but yeah, a lot of people just don't know.
Can we just bring it out? Like, anytime if we win the game, we just bring it out.
Fans storm the field with
yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, it's also, I think it's time to bring it back. It's just literally a brown barrel.
How long have they been doing that?
2012, I think, is the first date I see on here.
Okay. I would love to hear the origin story of that one.
Oh, you haven't heard?
I wonder if they thought how super rich.
Back in 1939, when these two teams first, everybody went to center field after the game and just freaking just unloaded on a barrel.
Yeah. It's also, I mean, it's funny. I think it's funny for Tennessee, Kentucky. Two states with a history of bourbon and whiskey, and it's a beer barrel and not either.
Also,
bourbon or whiskey.
I just don't I feel like that is a perfect opportunity to just have like a baseball bat.
I mean, yeah, for Louisville for sure.
I'm just like a barrel, like that's, and you just have a plain old like. I mean, it looks just like a whiskey barrel, so I don't know.
Yeah, there's definitely. I'm not a big fan of rivalry trophies that look super well done. I think they need to have a tacky element to them.
I agree.
Except for the civil conflict, I'm a big fan of that one. That's a great trophy. Should be kept in sports forever.
I want to read something to you and just get your thoughts real quick. So, Kelly Ford at K Ford Ratings. Somebody asked, what would Tennessee's chances be with Clemson's schedule and Clemson with Tennessee's? This is the percentage to make the college football playoff. And Kelly Ford said, this is a fun hypothetical. If Tennessee had Clemson's schedule, the Vols' college football playoff chances would increase from 5.7% to 20%. And if Clemson had Tennessee's schedule, the Tigers' college football chances would decrease from 23% to 7%.
Wow. It's pretty interesting that their chances are still, their odds as a team are better after we just absolutely throttled them just a few months ago.
The schedule.
Right, but even if you flip-flop the schedules, their odds are better.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if we had – yeah. So that's interesting in and of itself. I mean, Dabo's only going to be able to sell his snake oil for so long there in Clemson, South Carolina. So
yeah, if any ACC team was worth a crap, I mean, that team would be done.
I've been lobbying for Tennessee to leave the SEC for a while. Now, I don't have the ACC in mind. I am all for the Saudis, royal families, new league that they're putting together. That's the one I want to go to. But, yeah, the ACC, I guess, would be fine as well. I wouldn't mind going to Syracuse every few years.
We are playing an ACC school, which, again, kind of goes back into the top 25. I think part of that, like, Tennessee's schedule kind of lines up pretty well.
Yeah, for sure. And, I mean, I think Virginia is, like, an interesting one. I kind of like – I mean, I don't love playing in Nashville for sure. I kind of like the not playing Bowling Greens every out-of-conference game. I would prefer 2 Power Fives on your schedule.
Yeah,
personally.
I agree. Yeah, and
I just think, sure, you can talk about wear and tear, but I think it gives you a better opportunity to know who you are and learn some things.
Play Power Fives. Yeah, I agree. It just sucks because, like, nothing's easy in the SEC, so I get it.
And I'm all for – I'm not saying Danny White to do it on your own. don't punish yourself when Alabama and Georgia get to don't have to do that. So I'm not saying do it on your own. I just think I would like to see a rule. And I think, I mean, it's obviously going to get different playing non-game SEC schedule here soon.
Yeah.
So.
All right. That's all I got for Stupidity. You got any more?
So I got one, and I don't fully understand it, to be honest, but I saw this video. Apparently, like MLB pitchers now, on their off days, they'll just stay standing on the field during the national anthem. So like 2 pitchers, 1 from each team, will essentially just play chicken for who has to get off the field last.
Oh, really?
And apparently a couple games, it's gone all the way up until like the starting pitcher's done warming up and just like, hey, guys, get off the field. Like it's gone that far. I don't know if it's gone any farther. The other day, an ump threw both of them out. For it.
Really?
I'm like, what are we doing? Just tell them to get off the field. What are you tossing them out of the game for? Also, if I'm tossed out of that game, I'm staying on that field. You're gonna have to get security to drag me off. If I got thrown out of the game.
I mean, that's for standing on the field. I mean, obviously the first pitch is like a being thrown, maybe that's your sign of like, hey, let's get off. Maybe if I'm an ump, I'm just like starting the game. If he's still on it after the first pitch is thrown, then you're like,
well, I just feel like if you go over to him like, hey guys, I'm starting this, get off. They're gonna get off the field. Maybe I'm wrong, but who cares? Like, why? I just don't get why we're tossing people out for that.
Yeah, what if they're on it like praying, like religious wise? Like, you against that, huh?
Oh, start that lawsuit up, MLB. We're coming for you, Rob Manfred.
There you go. So in the Tennessee Austin Peay game, did you see the kind of hard slide?
So I did not see the scuffle, and I've looked for videos. Okay. Do you have a video?
I don't have a video.
I can't find a video anywhere.
So hard play at the plate. Mm-hmm. Blake Burke slides. He slides. Now, the rule is the catcher cannot be in the baseline
without the ball, correct?
Correct.
He has to have the ball. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I know baseball.
He's standing there like over the plate the entire time. Blake slides in. I mean, it's a hard slide, but it's a slide. He didn't plow him over.
Yeah. Then Buster Posey him.
Yeah, and then the pitcher didn't like that Blake slid kind of hard and kind of stood over him. Well, he gets tossed. Well, of course, like everybody, like it's a baseball thing, okay? When a little bit of bickering happens, everybody just kind of like huddles around and like holds each other. I don't really understand it, but it's also like kind of cool too, like how you see the pitchers and bullpen catchers like run out. Yeah. By the time they get there, everybody's done.
Yeah, I love it.
So I mean, like that happened. Well, an umpire like Hunter Hensley is like one of the first ones out there, and like it's out 3, so like a lot of those guys are like coming on the field. Well, then they're like all huddle around home plate.
At home plate, yeah.
And he tosses Hunter Hensley, and then goes back to they review it. And then they did, but like I heard him. He said, "You're gone.
You're gone."
Yeah. And so I was like, dude, there's no way he just got thrown out. So like I tweeted, I was like, what a power trip by this umpire. Just picking out one random player that left the bench and tossing.
Yeah.
But they end up not tossing it. So Tennessee did kind of benefit from an umpire. So I do want to give them a little bit of credit. So thank you. Also, like if they would have tossed him, like, oh God, Tony was about to unravel.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So Hunter is playing, so all's well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got a big weekend this weekend.
For sure.
Let's beat Kentucky. Let's get Dylan married. Let's go play golf tomorrow. Are you ready?
Dude, I'm pumped. I've been ready.
I hope Joey's ready. That's all I care about. I can care less.
Yeah, we need
what are you
Joey
wearing?
To be ready. I'm wearing a white and blue Hackers Club shout out shirt.
I thought we were doing vintage stuff.
I was told we weren't doing that.
Who told you that?
Austin.
He said he can't.
So I thought we all were. not.
Oh God.
I don't think I have any vintage
You got to send
like
a
shirts.
text. You got to send a text.
You send a text. I think you're the only one that's thinking this.
No, Blake and Wes like have an outfit.
I was not aware of this, and I don't think I have anything.
My God.
Well, no one told me.
Unreal. I don't even know where this thing is.
I'm sorry. They sent the text. I just thought when Dude said I can't, I thought no one commented after that. So.
Okay. I just don't want to be the only one. So
I think you need to coordinate with your teammate. It's the most important part. You guys got to be.
I do need to text Joe, which
I need to let Nick know I'm wearing blue. He doesn't have to.
I'm cool with like not doing it because like.
Yeah, I'm cool too. My shirt's awesome. I want to wear it.
But yeah, I just don't really. I have these like baggy pants, but I'd rather wear shorts.
Okay, I need to see these pants. You have like
baggy golf pants.
Where'd you get those?
I've had them.
Oh, just like normal khakis?
They're golf pants. But like they're baggy.
Okay. They're not what I was picturing. I was picturing like Scotland. Okay. No. All right, never mind. I don't have any. I have an old golf shirt, but like I don't necessarily want to wear it. So
gotcha. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend. And go Vols. We're bringing the boat in, and we out.